us pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next on the docket is the approval of minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Fath, seconded by Mrs. Riddell to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mr. Fath?
Yes.
Albert votes yes. Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Passes 4-0. Next, the approval of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Krasinski, seconded by Mr. Fath to approve the claims. Any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mr. Fath?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Albert votes yes. Passes 4-0. Sewage Department Head report.
First thing I got is number one RES meter. I ordered parts for it. They've come in. I haven't had the service guy in to install them. The second thing I got is the aeration blower. I've called Gastoda several times to come out and get parts and give me a quote on it, and they haven't showed up. Peerless was out working on the VFDs, and they installed Allen Bradley equipment, so I brought them out. They looked at the motor, started the unit, gave me a price, so I told them to go ahead and get us the parts. Kind of wanted to let you know we're into the heat of the season, so our electric bills are up a little bit. So I'm looking at a load of Allen next week, and I can hold off on sludge bags till the middle of next month. So I'm trying to offset those two expenses from hitting in the same month. That's all I got.
On sewage. Water.
Okay, VFD report. I don't quite have a whole month of running time, but I wanted to point out a motor running at full speed runs at 60 hertz. And right now when we're filling the tower, the motors are running at 42 hertz. And when I'm backwashing, the motor's running at 38 hertz. So I'm looking at hopefully about a third or higher savings in electrical costs. We were lucky in the fact that we used to use a valve to regulate the flow out of those pumps. And we could slow them down enough that we're not even using the valve anymore. So it's been real good, but I'm not sure what our NIPSCO billing cycle is, whether we're gonna see it on this bill or not, but should be substantial. Those pumps start pumping at 34 hertz, so that gives you a clue of, you know, how little we're actually forcing them to do. So I think it was a good investment.
Good.
That's all I've got.
All in H2O. Anything? Streets.
Nope, good.
You're not.
Well, as some of you may know, we've been trying to get a community crossings grant. We've okayed $135,000 of our money for this grant. They'll let us know in August. We've passed the, it's called the LTAP. You have to have an asset management plan for all of the streets in town. They've been assessed, and then each one is brought out at how much they estimate it will cost to do. And so there won't be any paving this year. It'll start next year if we get the grant. And it's a 25-75% match, so we would estimate $540,000. So I just received an email from them tonight. They've received their second half of the project that we had to apply for, and now we'll wait till August until they announce the winners. Yeah. Hopefully we're in there. And also we appropriated, I believe not to exceed $5,000 for this engineering firm to do this, and it's not going to be anywhere close to that for what they've done for us. So I would like to leave that in there so they can finish. When we put the bids out, they can do the bid packets for us.
Thanks.
And just to touch on that, Jim, obviously, I mean, at that amount, I mean, that's something that would have to be bid.
Oh, yes,
I mean, we
definitely.
would have to publish legal notice
Yes.
and afford an opportunity for sealed bids to come in before that could be awarded.
Yes, there'll be a lot of There's a long list of roads in the town that we've marked. And they're categorized by number, number 10 being, doesn't need much work, down to the lowest number that needs major repairs. So that could do the town a lot of good.
As long as oil
I'm hoping for
prices
the best.
stay down.
Yeah, that's all I got. Parks.
Only question I got for Ethan is, what's the deal with DNR in Clear Lake? We're still
Yeah.
going it.
The DNR in Clear Lake, the deal with that is the town has done everything to convey that piece of property over. And DNR communicated back to myself and indicating that apparently their approval process takes 3 to 4 months for them to finalize that. And they're not willing to take up maintenance until that occurs. We should be well into that, so I would hope within the next month or two that I will get notice that they've completed their approval process and the deed has been recorded. They have the original signed deed. As soon as I receive that, I'll let you know
Okay.
for your end, and I'll let Lori know for insurance end on the town side of
Okay.
things. I have made every demand I can on DNR to try and expedite that. I've requested that they try and at least maintain it in that time period. They've claimed that they don't have an ability to do that for
Okay.
whatever reason. So I've made all of those requests at this point. As soon as I hear something, I will let you guys know.
Thanks.
Police.
We had a total of 292 calls for service for June. We had Heather and I both on vacation at different times throughout the month. So our calls for service are down quite a bit. 153 traffic stops, we had 8 crashes, 1 warrant arrest. We had 15 assist other agency calls, 6 ordinance violations. We did have a SWAT call out just a little over a week ago. Ian actually was called out and we ended up having the Fort County come out. We obtained a no-knock search warrant. SWAT executed the search warrant. We recovered a firearm and subsequently we made an arrest for a violent felon in possession of a firearm and criminal recklessness. The suspect had taken 2 shots at somebody he was angry with. So we got word from ATF here just the last couple of days and that case is going to get turned over and go federal. So I would imagine he'll be gone for quite a while. The next thing that I have is I was contacted by John Dudek, the director of the 911 center. They just did a huge upgrade on their dispatch system. Part of their system, they have 1 server in their system that they had to upgrade that specifically deals with the dispatch screen and how we receive our calls in the squad cars and how we communicate from squad car to the dispatch center. And I guess it was a very expensive upgrade and they've spent quite a bit of money on the rest of their center and they asked the police departments if they would be willing to help with the cost of that upgrade. And they split the cost up with all the agencies in LaPorte County and it comes to $653.60 that they're asking from each department. And I told them that I had to ask for permission, so I put that on the agenda for tonight.
And that's a one-time fee.
Yeah, I would be taking it out of maintenance, and I'm actually getting ready to transfer some money into maintenance, so. I haven't seen the list of people, I do know Michigan City went ahead and approved their portion of it. We would get invoiced directly from AdsNet, the company that's doing the work, we wouldn't be invoiced from the Fort County.
Darren, I'm sorry, is this part of any of that back in January when they was gonna switch over with the, is that?
The 800 megahertz?
Yeah.
I don't think so, no.
That's nothing to do with that.
No, that's actually still on hold. They're waiting for something from the state before that gets turned over. We actually got our portables, our handhelds were given to us. We haven't taken possession of the portables yet until it goes live. And that's still something that they're taking most of the cost.
And then we'll be on a total different frequency.
The 800 megahertz, yeah. So, that's, the amount of $653.60 is what we would pay to AdsNet they would invoice us directly.
Okay, I would make a motion that we pay for that out of your maintenance.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Riddell, second by Mr. Fath to approve $653.60 paid to AdsNet out of maintenance. for the server upgrade. Any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mr. Fatt?
Yes.
Mr. Pachinski?
Yes.
Albert votes, oh, I'm sorry. Ms. McConnell?
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 5-0.
The last thing that I have is the police department. When we started the initial planning phase of the police department project, John Schaefer had given us a price of $50,000 a year that we can afford in payments. And Tom and I actually had sat down right at the very beginning and came up with the idea of about $300,000 that we were gonna try to keep the cost of the project to. We're not getting a whole lot done for that amount of money. When Ethan sent the information from the banks to Lori, the banks put together our loan projections or dollar amounts. They did the amounts at $450,000, and at $450,000, the yearly payment was $50,292. So it would be at $450,000, we'd be $292 over budget for the whole year for payments. So I wanted to approach you with the town board and ask if you would consider increasing the budget of the police department remodel or build to maybe $425 or somewhere in there, so that we stayed within that dollar amount payment wise that John Schaefer wanted us to stay in, and then we can actually get something moving.
I think as long as we're in that budget amount.
I would like to move forward as fast as we can with at least building a reasonably sized garage with a training room. I've been in town hall for going on 2 years, and this year especially, and it's happening all over, I've talked to other police departments, it's getting more and more acceptable that people are getting angrier and angrier with police departments and communities in general, and they're acting out and they're taking their anger out on police departments and community leaders, and it's starting to affect the work that the building department has to do in here. Lisa and Pam and Mary and Lori are now dealing with angry citizens that we should be dealing with on our own in a separate building. So if we could do the build maybe in 2 phases, where we could do the first part and get it done as soon as possible, we could work out of the training room, hopefully attached to a reasonably sized garage in that parking lot. And while we're working out of the training room, we could do whatever we had to do with the bid process and staying within the statute to remodel the OPD. I didn't know how any of you felt about that, if it's something we could move forward with, or how that all works.
I think it makes perfect sense.
Let's go with the garage and the training room, see what we can do, then we'll know what money we have left for the other.
And remodeling the old building I was in favor of a long time ago,
Yeah.
and we didn't go that direction. I think we put out a lot of money on blueprints and other things. I think we need to get a handle on this and get something done.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jim, we need to do this.
And getting rid of the garage in that building is gonna give us a lot of room.
Yeah, there's 3,000 square feet there, up and down, so that's a good sized building. And you've put money in it with tuck pointing and a roof and stuff, so it's money that you've already spent that's not getting thrown away.
I guess I'm a little bit confused. So what's going on? You're gonna take down the old building?
No,
No, not at all.
no.
So can you explain a little bit more? Because for some odd reason, I'm lost. So,
Where the vacant lot is across the street.
okay, you're gonna build,
I would like to build a garage that can be used for washing cars and
okay,
changing headlights, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
and then attached to that building, it would be a 20 by 40 building. Half of it would be a garage, the other half would be a training room, so we can hold classes and do training exercises and type. And then the rest of the parking lot will be used for parking. And then we can work out of that training room and get out of town hall.
okay. I was wondering about, would you still be utilizing
We
this
could get out of
area?
town, we could get out of town hall soon, use that training room, and
And
then
then
we could deal with the bids and stuff for
The building.
the
that
building.
would free up, the old garage would give you more office room
Mhm.
downstairs.
So,
I mean, but is it a good idea to invest in something that was supposed to be a bigger project to begin with? I mean, I guess I'm still a little bit confused. I mean, why start if it's not what you wanted originally?
Cause we can't afford what we originally.
No,
thought
I
we
get
could.
that, but I thought if we held off a little bit longer, I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking questions. No,
Prices are only gonna go up.
okay,
And I think our bids all came in at right around 500,000 and more. And that's without touching the old building to turn it into a facility that we could use for washing vehicles. That's without doing any work to the brick building. It was all excavating and all that. By putting the garage there, we'll save on basement, foundation walls, footings, all that stuff that I think the concrete work was over $100,000
Was
for
there
a new building.
footing in there still? Did we ever check that?
Oh, the old basement?
Yeah, the basement.
That would,
I don't
from an
think it-
excavating standpoint, that they
Yeah, I
just
don't
dig in and do it.
Yeah, I don't think it'll matter because we're just putting a slab there now. So I would think
Yeah.
we'd be all right.
and who's gonna do the project?
We'd have to put it out. We'd have to get
Okay,
quotes.
so that's another whole other process, correct?
Yeah, bid process.
Okay, and you haven't collected any bids since the last time, correct?
We haven't
No.
spec'd out a garage.
Okay, alright.
Okay.
Would it be helpful to schedule a special meeting workshop to kind of walk through that? Cause I mean, there's a lot of different parts of that I think that we all just need to be aware of and the council needs to be comfortable with. I mean, the financing side, the timing, what we look at, I mean, if there needs to be an architect or, I mean, if it's gonna be Charlie Ray or whomever, it's gonna be architect or engineer that's gonna put together the documents from which we would go out and see.
Yeah, I think our
cost
first,
proposals
our first step should be the garage, that building, to see what we have left over for what other options we have left. I think we need to get together on that, or
I think
In terms of the existing building and looking at what our options
in
are.
terms of the garage, the new building.
I think we need to have a workshop with all of the council members here,
Yeah.
so that we can actually hear, everybody can hear at the same time. So I'd be in favor of that.
What do we have coming up for budget too? We're gonna have to have a budget workshop coming up. Okay. Still wanna go ahead in July?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm not available in July, I mean, the rest of this month, we schedule it for this week, obviously I'm one person, so I don't really, you can't work according to me, but I mean, if I have,
Saturday morning would work at any time.
this Saturday morning would be perfect, but after this Saturday, I'm out of the country.
Till when?
August 22nd.
So you won't be at the August meeting as well?
No.
I
Well,
don't
we
think
can't wait
should
for that.
wait.
No,
We go ahead and make a decision.
we're gonna have budget meetings as well, so, 'cause it's budget time, so.
And I think
About-
this was talked about probably over at one of the meetings that you've already missed, because we did discuss this, so you had this come through, so probably you are wondering what's going on.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be
I mean,
out.
I would like to be informed at the least.
Well,
Maybe-
they're on TV,
Yeah,
yeah, so
on
you
the
can-
website.
Yeah.
I found that out recently, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, so you get everything there.
Okay.
Does Saturday work for everybody better?
No, not me.
No?
You know what, John, I want to see when John's scheduling the budget meeting, we can maybe have it on one
I
night,
could do.
that way, cause I'm sure it's gonna be this month, that's his typical. Let me get ahold of John, see when he's planning on scheduling that.
18th or 19th or 20th, next Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah, those
Well, that's fine, I didn't know if I
Can't
wanted.
do it.
Any of those, yeah, 18th, 19th, or 20th, is fine.
Oh, okay.
18th and
How about a week from tonight?
I can't, yeah.
18th?
18th.
18th? I'll give you that. Good on 18th?
19th.
18th?
I'm not here.
I have another meeting in operational at 7, so we would have to
Ours.
Can you be here at 4?
Can you be here early?
Well, we can.
Yeah, so long as I would be out of here by 6:40ish, that's
Okay.
fine.
let's do
Can you do early?
From 4 to 6:40.
4 to 6:40.
Okay.
Thanks, Ethan.
So it's 4 o'clock
On the
Yeah.
15th?
on the 18th?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll post it and all that fun stuff.
Okay.
So,
Okay. All right.
anything else on Popo?
Sir, no, sir.
Okay. Finance. Of course, we just talked about the budget. Do you have anything that, Lori? We have a couple of resolutions.
Yeah, just that.
Okay, we have two resolution and an ordinance. Resolution 2017-5, it's appropriation transfers. Title, resolution of Town Council of the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana, approving the transfer of appropriations within the 2017 budget of the town. Whereas the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana, the town has filed or will in the future be filing an application to participate in the State of Indiana Community Crossings Grant Program. The purpose of which is to provide funding for street project. Whereas a requirement of the program is that the community provide matching funds in the amount of 25% of the total project cost. Whereas the town has funds available for appropriations currently existing in its 2017 budget that may be used to provide the matching portion of the Community Crossings Grant Project. Whereas in accordance with the program requirements of the Town Council of the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana, is determined it is in the best interest of the town to approve the transfer of appropriations within the 2017 budget of the town. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana, that the following appropriation transfers are approved to be made. The Cumulative Capital Development Fund decrease from sidewalk repairs $45,000 and the increase transfer of funds $45,000. The CEDAT Fund decrease street repairs $35,000, debt principal $45,000, debt interest $10,000, and a increase in transfer funds $90,000. Be it further resolved that in order to provide the matching portion of the Community Crossing Grant Program, cash the amount of $45,000 be transferred from the town's Cumulative Capital Development Fund and the Community Crossings Grant Fund, and the cash in the amount of $90,000 be transferred from the town's CEDAT Fund and the Community Crossing Grant Fund. If any portion of this resolution shall be held invalid or unconstitutional by any court of competent jurisdiction, such decision shall not affect any other portion or provisions of this resolution. All resolutions or part resolutions inconsistent with this resolution are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistency. It is provided, however, that such repeal shall only be to the extent of such inconsistency, and in all other respects, the resolutions or parts of resolutions are hereby ratified, reestablished, and confirmed. This resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption and procedures required by law. I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2017-5.
Second.
Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mr. Bashinsky to adopt ordinance 2017-5. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have one question.
Sure.
The $50,000 in the CEDAT fund, is that what I heard? It's transferred to the grant that Jim,
Right.
okay. And that takes care of the CEDAT fund then? Okay.
For the budget for the current year, correct?
Yes. And then John's intentions was on that if we moved forward with anything on the deed, first payment would be due to the beginning of the year anyway. That's what, we already asked that.
So, okay,
We are, absolutely.
because I know that was earmarked.
Yep, that's right. So that's why I was concerned with that.
And me too, so, okay.
So yeah, his thought was by the time we get going on this, the first payment will be due, so next year and then we'll be back.
It's like writing a check just before payday, taking that kind of time to clear the
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
But yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
Any other question or discussions? Okay, Mrs. Riddell?
yes.
Mr. Fatt?
Yes.
Mr. Bashinsky?
Yes.
Ms. McConick?
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 5-0. Okay, we have ordinance 2017-9. It's an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana, to establish a Community Crossings Grant Fund. Whereas the state of Indiana has created a Community Crossing Grant Program offering funds to local communities for the purpose of making streets improvements, and whereas the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana, has applied or will be applying in the future to participate in the program. Whereas the program requires that all funds from the program be maintained in a separate fund within the town's records, specifically to account for the income and expenses associated with the program. Whereas in accordance with the program requirements of the Town Council of the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana, has determined it is in the best interest of the town to create a Community Crossings Grant Fund. Now therefore be it ordained by the Town Council of the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana as follows. Section 1. There is established and approved in the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana Community Crossing Grant Fund. The fund is established for the purpose of receiving grant funds from the state of Indiana and matching funds from local sources, and to expend such funds in accordance with the guidelines issued by the state of Indiana for the Community Crossings Grant Program. Section 2. If any portion of this ordinance shall be held invalid or unconstitutional by any court of competent jurisdiction, such decision shall not affect any other portion or provision of this ordinance. Section 3, all ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent with this ordinance are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistency. It is provided, however, that such repeal shall only be to the extent of such inconsistency, and in all other respects, the ordinances or parts of ordinances are hereby ratified, reestablished, and confirmed. Section 4, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption and the procedures required by law. I will make a motion that we approve ordinance 2017-9 on the first reading.
Second.
Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mr. Mashinsky to approve ordinance 2017-9 on the first reading. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Riddell.
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff.
Yes.
Mr. Mashinsky.
Yes.
Ms. McConick.
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 5-0. I will make a motion that we suspend the rules and adopt ordinance 2017-9.
Second that.
Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mr. Mashinsky to suspend the rules and adopt ordinance 2017-9. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Riddell.
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff.
Yes.
Mr. Mashinsky.
Yes.
Ms. McConick.
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 5-0. Okay, we'll have these signed. Miscellaneous. Miscellaneous. Yes, hi.
Hi, I'm coming on behalf of the Birchville Memorial. Every year we do the bikes for Birch. This year we're planning on doing it at Black Hawk Inn. And so we're requesting that the road that goes between Black Hawk and Novell, if we could get that closed off like we have in years past. They usually put a fence there so we can have like the band play. We have a bag tournament that usually goes on there. So
What date?
August 19th.
I'm
I
guessing
believe
that's
it's a
the
Saturday, yeah, I believe so.
Do you have any
No
problems
concerns.
with it? Marshall or anybody have any?
Is it the entire block or is it just the
No,
alley?
just that little part between Black Hawk and Neville to that stop sign there. I
Oh,
think-
all the way back to the stop sign? Or
I,
to the
I
alley?
think so, I don't know.
Last time we
That's
did
what-
the alleyway.
Between
Oh, the
both-
alleyway.
Yeah,
That's
the alleyway. I
alley.
didn't know if you
Okay.
were about both streets.
To the
No,
alley.
I,
alley.
from alley to,
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
That way the alley's open and his business, his dad's business.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Any objections? Okay, good to go.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
When did we get all the security cameras installed outside? Or did I just see, is there security cameras outside?
There's some in here.
What, outside, I mean,
Yeah, there's some outside.
thank you. So I was like, am I crazy or did that, I was
It
just
was-
curious.
Last month? Last month they went up.
I was just wondering when we got that done.
Last month.
Well, then while we're on that subject, we probably have a good idea of who piled the limbs.
I have a signed note. We're good. Actually, I talked to the prosecutor about that today,
Yeah.
so we're gonna move forward with it.
Citizens' comments? Anything else to come before the council?
I have a couple comments.
Sure. Hi, Jackie.
Mike, I'm really kind of happy to hear about us considering, what we might do with the police department, the old building, because I think it has historical significance for the town. So I'm just wanted to make that comment, that I'm happy to hear that we might consider remodeling that. I still wanted to ask about how we're doing as far as street lights in Water Tower Place, if that's making progress, or if we should expect something at a certain date on that.
I had reached out to NIPSCO on that. We had gotten some cost figures back from them in terms of what they would want the town to pay to install streetlights within that subdivision. And I believe I'd shared that with the or the town council members, and it was not a cost that the town could afford. I mean, I wanna ballpark, it was in excess of $40,000.
Yeah, we're 40,000, yeah.
Wasn't that subdivision designed for all the poles in front of the houses so that we didn't have streetlights out there?
I believe that that's correct, Jeff.
For all of what, Jeff? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the
For all Water Tower Place, when Parkland developed it, it was so that every house had a light pole in front of the yard.
Oh,
so they
pole. I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, so they didn't have streetlights up, and then I know a couple years back, they'd still put one in that curve. So I guess, my question is, what was the request for that to happen?
Well, at the homeowner's discretion whether they decide to put light bulbs in their lights or not.
Correct.
And it's still relatively dark in there. I think it's too dark for the number of children that we have that are out at night. I think it's a safety concern for the town, but if we're gonna just wait till some kid gets hit and then have somebody come in here and have a problem with it, I guess we can do that, but I'd rather either say, you know, maybe we look at the bid and say, maybe they can reduce the number of streetlights in half to what we originally asked to see what a reasonable amount would be. I mean, what is a reasonable amount that the town's willing to pay?
What do we have in corners and?
If I recall correctly, Darren and Bubba kind of went through and selected the most logical locations for those, and then that was what part of what we submitted to NIPSCO, and they got their cost figures based off.
I had my midnight shift guys go out, and I went out with them a couple times. The darkest areas are obviously the retention ponds, because there's no homes, and most of them are, you have one retention pond next to another one, so you have a larger area not covered by a yard light or something of that nature. Those are the darkest areas. A couple of the cul-de-sacs have some empty lots, and the way that they're formed, they're a little dark. We have the map, I'd have to pull the map out to see where else, but a majority of them were in the cul-de-sacs and then the retention ponds. And then there's the couple streets that don't have any development where there's an empty lot and it leaves dark.
So the places probably to hit the cul-de-sac, or I mean, the retention ponds, because there's
If we
never
were
gonna
to
be a
start
chance
like
to light there.
like a long-term, like bid it in phases, I think that it would make sense initially to do the retention ponds and then see how that, what effect that has on a community, and then the next step would be maybe after another year of development, if some more homes are built, the next step would be any other dark areas.
Let's see.
And Ethan, that includes funds that we were gonna get as the town, right? I mean, wasn't there some type of grant or program that was?
We had inquired about that in belief that there was something out there, and NIPSCO said no.
No.
I mean, that was what the cost was going to be.
Because I think
So
what
is
we,
there a dollar amount that the town is willing to, spend on lighting in Water Tower Place? I mean, at 40,000 is too much, what is the dollar amount?
Well, and I mean, not to steer the conversation one way or the other, but obviously there's the cost of installing them, but then the town would also be on the hook then for paying for lighting them moving forward, whatever that cost would be, but that's, again, just something to take
that's,
into
they
account.
charge us a flat rate for light.
Let me ask you a question then, because on my retention pond, what I did is I ran an extra light all the way to the middle of the pond. So I had more light on our retention pond in the back street. So I took care of that upon ourselves. Is there anything that the town can do to help the homeowners that own those retention ponds to help them either donate or a fund together so they can put an extra light up, hooked into their service, maybe a credit on their water bill or something that
We
we take.
can't do that.
Okay, then what about a solar option instead of going through NIPSCO?
Because then we've got 100% of the maintenance on it too.
So do we pay NIPSCO for all the other lights in town?
Yes.
And is that significant, I take it?
Every time we add a light, we get charged more.
Every time what?
Every time we add a light, we
Right.
get charged for it.
Right.
What is our monthly?
Right there in front of you, that NIPSCO thing.
So if we change any of our lights, Bubba, down to LEDs?
They won't do it.
They won't
We've
do it?
already asked them.
Where it says streetlights.
No.
Because that would save on their cost of electric alone.
Right, that's why I changed ours out here, but NIPSCO.
Right, which
There's
would then
one
give us a
that
budget
crosses,
amount
I mean,
to.
We asked them, they said it's years down the road
So just
before
those-
Westville could even think about getting it.
4 lines.
Because that was part of the request
Right.
with Water Tower Place, we asked about how they
Right.
and their availability
Yep.
as well, that's right.
Is there any way to process the bulb companies to see if they would donate to the town? Has anybody looked at that option?
I doubt you're gonna get a bulb company to donate. That's the only things you get from bulb companies, what NIPSCO gives you, like on your house on a rebate that they usually put with the store owners.
I contacted NIPSCO about getting LED lights for every light we do have to pay for, and they said it'll be somewhere in the year 2020 to 2025. Because that would save the town a lot
Oh, a lot of money.
of expense.
And they don't wanna save the town money, is that it?
NIPSCO,
Jackie?
well,
What do you
Somebody's
think?
evidently not making enough money because the cable company that just came in, took them 3 weeks and they just ran all new cable in Water Tower Place. So they obviously are gonna make plenty of money off of that.
because they have no customers, NIPSCO's already got them.
Yeah, right? I mean, they weren't out there asking us for money either, you know? Okay,
Well, if you guys, I mean, I don't know what council's leading on this, but I mean, if you want myself to work together with Darren and Bubba again to see if there's a
See if we can space it
fewer
out.
number that at least we could submit back to NIPSCO and then make another, because some time has passed, and to try and see if there'd be any willingness for them to offer grant funds or assistance, I mean, we'd be willing to do that. Ultimately, I would expect that the town is going to have to contribute towards that.
I mean, I would even be willing to help with some type of fundraiser if we think that it would help if the people in Water Tower Place were willing to, you know, participate in it in some way or shape or form. But I mean, it's for the safety of their children.
Yeah, right, that's a good.
If everybody that has a pole just put a light bulb in the pole, would that make a difference? I
Well,
mean,
it would be if they would allow the homeowner association to go through, but instead they pretty much got null and voided out, so.
And that's
Therefore, no one can now police it unless we put an ordinance, another ordinance in town, saying you have to keep a light bulb in your light.
What's the one that we can't do?
And then, that's an important point to bring up, like, you know, typically in a subdivision, a municipality doesn't put lighting in a subdivision. That's typically done by homeowners association, they enforce your lights and those types of items, so it's a cost that municipalities typically do not incur, so that's, we're balancing, but like going through and reducing and seeing if there's something available, I think is something.
Are those lights wired?
Yes. They're all wired, they're all on photo sensors.
We'll just put the bulb in.
Yep.
As long as you don't plant a tree and they cut the wiring.
Well, and I think that that's, you know, that helps on the side streets, right? But where the kids drive down that main road, if you go all the way back, there are a limited number of houses at each of the intersections and those houses' lights don't face, you know, they're really on the street,
One
they're not
intersection
really
out of
helping.
the four corners, you've only got two houses.
They designed it wrong. They should've
I mean, the
had
lights are
it
in the front of the house facing Al and John from both directions. They're not, there's no light facing
So,
the primary road coming in.
so we have two sets of retention ponds on Allen John. If we lit up those two areas first,
That would be helpful.
it's a good step.
I mean, that'd be a good step.
Let's see what it does.
so then that would just be two lights initially, we might be able to get away with just two.
Because I know that
Two
first
lights.
one they put
That
there,
helps a lot.
the intersection lights.
We get that put in for free too. When I called the engineer on it, they get it for free.
Well, Bubba, you should make another phone call.
Yeah,
He's not working on it. I will make another call, but he's not working on it.
just go through the
But they used
list.
to be able to call them and make out a work order for NIPSCO. They would put the light where we wanted it, they wouldn't charge us for it, just on our monthly bill. They put it up for free. But now they said they don't do that anymore. The guy I talked to last time, so we'll see. I'll call again, see if they do.
Maybe you should take him to lunch. The town can afford it.
Feeding the NIPSCO guy wouldn't be expensive. We're friends, we went to school together, for God's sake. So we were friends. Anything else? Yes?
I have a question about the parking in Water Tower. Is there any new news on the no parking signs?
No.
What happens if there are people parking in the cul-de-sacs with the sign up? What do you do about that?
Well, it's a ticket.
Well, what if the officer comes by and doesn't do anything? Then what do we do?
It depends what that officer is doing in the progress. Not every time we pass a violation, not every time we pass something that's happening, are we able to stop? We could be on our way to take a report somewhere else. We could be on our way to an accident. We could be on our way to a medical call. We could be doing any number of things. Somebody may be pulled into the cul-de-sac and we see that their trunk is open and they're unloading and we say, okay, we're gonna let them unload and come back and check it later. And we come back later and they're gone. So everything that's built into state statute and town ordinance and everything is left up to officers' discretion, and that's by state statute. So that's what we follow is state statute.
You want us to ticket?
What?
So would you like us to ticket?
No, I
Oh.
just was curious, I was just curious on it. I just didn't know, like, cause, there were a number of vehicles in front of our home in the cul-de-sac and they were there for a very long period of time. I just didn't know if I had parked there for a long period of time.
garage?
I do, I have a one-car garage,
Do you park in it, or?
I do not,
I just figured out how much room you had there.
not very much.
Okay, anything else? Yes, Jeff?
Have we heard anything else on the signs coming into town, if they're ever gonna do anything with them? And we're trying to do everything to keep this community looking good and everything, I mean, I've been asking for 6 years, and still haven't seen a plan put together.
I think the Lions Club
Was it the Lions Club or the Chamber was gonna do something with them?
Yeah, it was a couple years ago they mentioned it, and I haven't.
No,
really
just
heard
recently.
anything.
recently.
We talked about it one of the planning commission meetings.
I thought it was the Lions Club was working. I'm not part of the Lions Club, I don't wanna speak on their behalf.
And any objection if I clear the top of my hill out and put a new sign up there?
Yeah, you have to comply with the town sign ordinance. I mean, so,
Well,
you
I
need to
agree
put together a
with that, but
proposal
that's
and
what I'm
we need to
asking,
look
is
at that.
it's information for the town, looks a little more presentable.
Again, it would have to comply with the requirements of the sign ordinance, so, I mean, if you wanna get some support for that and put together a proposal, we'd evaluate it and determine what approvals would be necessary.
Awesome.
Anything else? I will make a motion to adjourn. Stereo. Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mr. Taft to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourns at 7:40. That's